All right, welcome back to the R-rated podcast. Today's episode, I should say tonight because it's 7 p.m., is the holiday edition.
Yay.
I felt like I needed like something, and I'm like, this is the first thing I saw next to me, so this is what I grabbed. It's an elf. So everyone tuning in today, I am super excited because we are gonna talk about all of our favorite Christmas movies, all of the new Christmas movies, kind of like compare them and see like what has changed, what hasn't changed, how they shoot Christmas movies, and if it's really as jolly as we think it is when we watch the movie. So today I have David with me. He actually went with me to film school. We had a lot of classes together, so we've literally been stuck together through like a lot of stuff. We've been on long shoots together, overnight shoots, had a lot of projects together that like weren't necessarily always fun, but we did it. And yeah, we just have a great relationship and bond from film school and working on sets. We've worked on each other's sets a lot of times too, so it's been great doing that, and I'm happy that you're on tonight.
Thank you very much. That's very happy to be here. It's always fun to get to talk to one of your friends.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It always makes it a little better to have a friend on. And I was like, who would be the perfect person to like talk about Christmas movies? And like you popped in my mind, and I was like, we got to do it. So I'm gonna start us off. What is your favorite Christmas or holiday movie?
I guess I'd have to say, I thought it was, even though it was a little weird, it's Why Him?
Mm-hmm.
But, my God. Yeah, but A Bad Mom's Christmas was, it's pretty fun to watch. Through
Are you into the comedy Christmas movies more than like your typical traditional, like, here comes Santa Claus?
I would say, yeah, that's what I've discovered in preparation for this.
Yeah.
That I do like the comedy, not so reverent type thing.
Yeah. And what stands out like to you in those comedy films? Because like I like those too, but I know like sometimes they're just like very different. Like when I think like Christmas movies, I think like Grinch, and like I feel like not necessarily everyone would be like Bad Moms too, or like Bad Moms. So why that Christmas movie? Like what stood out? Like,
oh man, it's just I like when I'm not very formal. I'm not very very much about doing things your own way and figuring things out. And I think that's what I like about these movies, that they're not traditional ways of seeing Christmas. There is some, and like directing my last film was comedy, and I'll tell you, it's super hard directing comedy because you don't know half the time whether
it's actually
funny or it's just funny to you, and you won't know up until you distribute your movie.
Right.
And so like waiting for the audience's laughter, and you're like, oh my God. And then, you also get through it 1,000 times in editing. So you hate it. And I think these movies in a Christmas setting, and there's stuff that about it that just makes it funny. Like
that's true.
A person in an a person in an elf costume running around, it's not a lot of effort, but it totally changes the vibe.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Elf is such a freaking classic. Like Will Ferrell, like I feel like just murdered that movie.
Yes.
I don't think like I just feel like you're always gonna watch it around Christmas time. Even if you've seen it like 1,000 times, you're gonna just watch it again for Christmas time. Like I kind of when I don't watch it around the holiday season, I'm like, I feel lost. Like I didn't complete the holidays. And I actually knew like speaking of that movie, there's a few things that I'm like, oh, we can like talk about. Remember how they sing that song in the bathroom? Where it's like baby, I think it's baby. It's cold outside, right? Or
I don't know the name of it.
It was yes. It's baby. It's cold. Yeah, I'm not gonna sing it because I have a terrible voice. But so that was actually added in like super last minute. It wasn't even written in the script. So it's just like really like cool that like something that wasn't even in the story like just kind of made like an impact in the movie, because I feel like that song's very like popular from that movie. Like you remember that. I remember that scene because it's kind of like the first time he like, like hears her voice and he's just like really intrigued by her. And he's like, wow, she sounds like an angel.
She has an amazing voice, actually.
Yeah, Zoe Deschanel, she's hilarious too. Like her just like eyes, like I don't know what it is. Something about her eyes and her face, just like she just looks like innocent, but like also like kind of like I don't know. It's just hard to explain, but she's like I really love her as an actor. I think
and it seems like she's a hard worker. She's always kills her roles.
She does.
So,
she does.
I'd love to work with her one day.
And also they so the part where it's a police station in the movie Elf, it wasn't really like a police station, which is really interesting to talk about too, because a lot of the times when we see things on set, we think like, oh, that really was like that location, like that really, but like once you're actually on set, you realize like, oh no, that wasn't a police station at all. And I was really curious to see like if they had any different like sets. And actually that I found out that police station was a mental institute before.
Of course, same thing.
It was an abandoned mental like institute. And so they were like, yeah, it was like really creepy, like filming there, and like it was really cold and like dark, but it was like perfect for like the police office station. I was like, that's so true. That happens all the time on set. Like you literally like it's never the actual location. And even like the North Pole, they had to draw, like the set design person had to draw everything in like a perspective of like the elf, where it would look, because the elf is so much smaller. Like the real elf, Will Ferrell just happens to be really big, but real elf is a lot smaller than like, the regular people. So they had to like, the set design had to make sure that it was proportional, that if the camera saw it through like the eyes of a normal person, it would look even. And then if it was from the elf's point of view, it would also look proportional in their point of view as well. But like there's a complete different like height difference. So it's like the amount of work that they put in. I'm like the detail, like you don't even realize when you watch like the movie, because like that's not even something you would think about. Like, oh, like how did they
it's just automatic.
Correctly, like the elf looks like can see it like correctly or whatever. And I don't know, I feel like that you don't even think about that when you're watching the movie. You're like, is he gonna find his dad?
Let me take it to another movie. So another one that I like is Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Is that the one with Arnold?
Yeah.
And okay, tell me about it. What's like?
All right, so
Arnold's a very specific kind of person.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm Austrian, so I fuck with him. Like gotta stick to my Austrians. But
I mean, I'm a big fan of his and his story. Also, I mean, that guy's been through. He really did start from the bottom, and it's always nice to see inspirational stories like that.
Yeah.
That all you really have to do is listen, and they'll tell you like, hey, it's all in you. It's all up to you. It always has been. Just a lot of shit nowadays that gets people down. But so pretty much he's this dad that works a lot. And the whole message of the film is, spend more time with your family and, don't disregard them.
Right.
Give your kids time and shit. So, give your kids time and shit. No, sorry guys. But this is R-rated, so whatever.
Yeah.
I can do that stuff.
You don't have to say sorry for saying shit.
Yeah, and so pretty much he's trying to get his son fucking. Do you remember Took Me Elmo?
Yes.
Okay, so when that first came out, the same year actually, I think '96.
I was born that year.
Oh yeah, I was 6 years old already. So I really do remember the panic and the craziness that the Tickle Me Elmo had, because people were fighting over each other. At toy stores, and so this movie kind of copied that, but they made their own fictional character, kind of like 21 Jump Street made their own drug.
Right.
So it's called Turbo Man, and they made it kind of like in the Power Ranger universe, and they show us throughout how the kid really likes it. And it's like the biggest toy, and of course the dad's busy and he didn't even get it for him, and now getting it last minute Christmas Eve. Yeah. Good fucking luck,
Yeah.
But speaking to the production design, there is a parade scene in Jingle All the Way, and people don't really think about this. Christmas movies, they're automatically a lot of work just from the beginning, just by taking them on, because you can't go out there and shoot it in Christmas time when all the lights are out and shit and make it easier because
Isn't
you
that
want your
crazy
movie.
to say that like
Yeah.
you cannot shoot a Christmas movie during Christmas time?
Yeah, you have to shoot it in October, November, so
Yeah.
in case you see Santa's walking around in October, November, they're probably in a film shoot.
Right.
And then also the weather's in here in California, at least it's,
Oh
still
God.
pretty warm.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of suffering done to make Christmas movies, but it's a lot of work, the production design, and since they have there's a lot of things that we can fake, like you were saying, the jail or a
Mhm.
movie theater. You just
Yeah.
show the outside and then you go inside, couple of chairs and flickering light, boom, movie theater.
Right.
But the one thing about parades is you really can't fake them. If you have a parade in your movie, you gotta have a fucking parade,
That's insane.
like in your shoot, and that's it. And
Yeah.
and they had Arnold like doing wire work and green screen because he
Wow.
flies around. Yeah, it's crazy. It's pretty epic.
And are there like floaties? Because you know how parades like they're so extra.
Yeah, and his is super extra.
Really?
He's like riding on this like hill of the town. It's fun. It's fun. You should watch it.
Yeah, that sounds kind of like a must see because I definitely haven't seen that. And a movie that like actually has a full out parade in it, that's pretty interesting because honestly, like that just seems tough. Like, oh God, yeah. I don't even want to think about like coordinate like a whole parade walking towards the camera and then you're like, do it again.
Yeah, and the background artists also.
Yeah.
All the things that can go wrong. Jeez. And there was stunts.
It's like they're not even allowed to play music during the parade. So it's like it's all just like quiet. Like,
yeah, but I think they did. I was watching the BTS the behind the scenes footage.
Yeah.
And I think they are playing some on the location because there isn't really any dialogue going on. They're kind of just showing around. So I guess for that. But still, it's pretty crazy.
That also reminded me, you know how Macy's does like this huge parade for Thanksgiving? Do they do it for Christmas too? I think it's just Thanksgiving. But they actually, so it reminded me back to Elf because Elf actually asked Macy's if they could shoot at their store during like Christmas. Because you know how like Macy's is like you think of a department store, you think of Macy's, like it has everything. And I guess they wanted to like shoot there, but Macy's like rejected it and was like, no. But I feel like Macy's now is probably like, damn it, like should have done it. Like that movie did so well.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Also, I think that's Will Ferrell's first.
Yes. Can you believe that? Like he was only on SNL, like an SNL actor for like the longest time, and then this guy, the screenwriter, who actually wasn't known yet, this kind of sucks. So like you could be really like talented and like have a great story, but like unfortunately, like in Hollywood, it's like if you're not known, it's really hard to like get shit out there. So this was one of those situations. Like he was a nobody. Like he literally was, he just said, I was a nobody. Nobody would take my story, not the studios would. Even when he paired up with a producer who knew Will Ferrell as like a friend or something, like they went to the studios and the studios were like, no. They're like, the fact that you think like Will Ferrell should be a main character, like that's insane. And like, thinking about now, I'm like, that's insane because like he's so funny. He's so like I feel like he's a legend in comedy. So like the fact that like even Will Ferrell had to like got rejected so many times, I'm just like, oh my God, the amount of rejects we're gonna get.
Yeah, I mean, and he already had, I believe, on Night at the Roxbury. I think he already done it at that point, but so I don't know. I would have. I don't run a studio, so I can't tell you what they're thinking. Money, obviously, but.
I mean, I get like when you're a studio and you have like big money coming in, you want to play it safe, I guess, and like work with these groups of people because you know that they're good and stuff. But it's like then you're always gonna deliver the same kind of stuff. It's like I feel like you need to like branch out, and I feel like if you have like this big studio, like take risks. Like you're already established. Like why are you?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? That's kind of like my thought.
I mean, we're not running them, so.
Yeah.
What if we go in with that approach and run them into the ground and shit? We'll be talking then.
Exactly. Well, okay. So I have another question. I feel like, I don't know. Okay. So I was watching Christmas movies from my childhood and like Christmas movies now. And I was just kind of like, okay, I do see a difference, but I wasn't sure if it was just me. Like, do you feel like when you watch Christmas movies now, like you're like, oh, a lot has changed, or like it's still kind of strict to the same like rule book of like Christmas movies?
They do stay within the same umbrella. You know, the messages are the same: family, forgiveness, redemption. But yeah, there is a big difference. And actually, it's funny that you asked, because I was thinking about this just on my own. Like, what is the difference? Am I a different person, or are the movies different? And so I started digging in there, you know, soul searching. Is it me? I think it is, now that especially now that I'm a filmmaker, I'm looking for like different stuff.
Right.
But also I think it has to be different, I believe, to stay relevant, because every Christmas movie has its time, you know, like
that's true.
That's what I noticed in Christmas movies. They are a great timeline to history.
Yeah.
They put the toys, or, you know, like, again, Jingle All the Way, Turbo Man, Tickle Me Elmo. That was a reference right there. And if you were alive and you were watching the movie at that time, you're like, oh yeah, that's this year. You know, so every Christmas movie has it's this year type thing, and I really do enjoy that. But when I was a kid, my favorite like nostalgia movie is A Christmas Story.
Oh yeah,
that's how I remember Christmas. You know, I remember my parents taking me to the, what the hell is Macy's called? Like, what is Macy's? Department store. Taking me to like Robinson's May, or
like a picture of Santa.
Macy's, yeah. So we can see like the little Santa villages and the little robots and shit. The little train.
My
mom
still tries to get me to do that. Like, I have little siblings, and she's like, "Do you want to be in the Santa picture?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm 24. No way in the Santa photo."
Yeah.
So like, if she could put me in there, she would. Like,
I remember that. So that's the part that I remember of Christmas. And also, I grew up here in North Hollywood, and Valley Plaza used to decorate their streets, right outside where Sears was, I guess. And I remember that, you know, there was like a warmth about it, and I do like that. And actually, let me admit, I am not a very Christmassy person.
Really? Are you the Grinch?
I'm not the Grinch either, you know, but through watching the movies for here, I realized that I'm not like anti-Christmas. I'm not the Grinch. So I just found out. But up till yesterday, I thought I was. Yeah. But really, what I like Christmas stuff. I just, not for me to like go and set it up. You know, like decorations. Like, I'd rather pay someone. And since I'm not balling out of control right now, you know,
and like your light bill will go up drastically once you do
yeah, you know, so I do enjoy it, but I enjoy movies even more. That's what I discovered, that because I think it's in movie format, and you can pick up like on the history and all those elements and the nostalgia factor. I think, it's much different. And I don't know that I would prefer new ones or older ones. I think I treat it like everyone as their own thing, and I very much enjoy the scary stuff also in the comedy. But, you know, a good classic, you know, nice family movie like Noel is also really, you know, welcomed.
It is. It was good. It was refreshing, and I like that it was very current with our times. Like, you know what I mean?
You know? And it didn't feel like it, well, to me anyway, it didn't feel like anything was forced, you know? You know, especially giving us our girl hero. She wasn't bitching and whining the whole time. She just like, oh, this is the situation, let's get shit done. And then, you know, she just persevered until the end. And I think that's a hell of a way to do it, because that's how you do it with any other character, right? Like, why should, you know, this be any different? And I'm glad that they took that direction. Disney's doing pretty good right now.
Disney's been
yeah, I mean, honestly, there's animals.
Created they created a lot of Christmas movies that I love, now that I think about it. I was about to be like, okay, well, I would say my top one that's really up there is called The Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
Yes, that one's really good too.
Like, oh my God, like, it almost makes me emotional, like, talking about
that was the second one that I saw. That was the second one.
Like, when a movie can take you back to your childhood, like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, it really, like, it makes me feel some type of way, because I'm like, I don't really watch like a lot of throwback movies like regularly during the year. So like, I feel like Christmas time is that time when I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch an old movie from like when I was a kid and stuff. And then like now, after finishing film school and stuff, I'm just like, I wonder if it's gonna affect the way I see like this Christmas movie and stuff. And like I watched it and like I mean, obviously, like I'm like, oh, I know how they shot all this, but it was still so like close to my heart and like just so like well done. Like the whole story, like the way it was written too. Like I like the idea that it was in both worlds. Like you got to experience like Tim Allen, like not really like being annoyed about having to put on this new Santa like role, and he's really just doing it for his son because the son like witnessed him like accidentally scaring Santa off the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact, you know, the original, they weren't gonna have him just like startle Santa.
We're gonna shoot him, right?
They were gonna shoot him. They were gonna have Santa like sleep and then like have like Santa like I don't know be climbing around the roof and
Oh,
thinking it's like burglars or something, and he was gonna
that's
take out
hilarious.
his gun and shoot Santa. And I was just like thinking about it, and I was like, they could have maybe gotten away with that back then, but like today, like no fucking way.
Actually, that's kind of like one of the things that I noticed from back then, the Jingle All the Way. The adults, I mean, the jokes were pretty like, okay, whatever, kind of
Yeah.
adulty, but you know, the racism is still there pretty well. Like,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
straight up, not even like flinching.
yeah.
So,
That's one
that's
thing
one
I
of the things
have
about
noticed.
watching those movies, you know?
Yeah, that's one thing I have noticed that has changed a lot in holiday movies. They have made it more diverse and stuff. Like I feel like typically like growing up, I feel like I saw a lot of like white families growing up and the, you know, having this like very Merry Christmas and everything's like really perfect and like so many presents and stuff. But now it tends to seem more like a diverse family. Like, you know, like the parents might be married to like a multi, like someone that's African American or Mexican, or like maybe the mom, like I've also noticed a lot, like the parents are divorced also, or that the one of the parents has died and it's kind of like the other parents moving forward and there's like this like grudge going on, but then like it's the holiday season and it kind of like brings everyone together. I've
Yeah.
noticed like that's kind of been like the new thing in like the Christmas movies, which has been nice and refreshing because now I feel like every kid can like tune in and be like, hey, like that family looks like my family. You know, maybe back
Mhm.
then that wasn't necessarily the case.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
which I thought was really cool.
yeah, I feel that it is important to include everyone on the screen, you know, because I think, well, I know probably the people who are, you know, the business people are going to be like, well, we need to check this off the box. But really, you're just including someone else that's always been there and you've just been
Yeah.
ignored. So that's, you know, I find that cool. I find that pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah, they're always about like inclusion and stuff, like I said. So at least it's keeping in with that theme, you know?
did Home Alone, is that like a movie that's up there for you?
Yeah, it is. It's one of those. It's one of like my '90s.
Yeah, I was like really curious about that because I mean, I definitely think it's like an amazing movie and it should totally be up there. But I always wonder, like, if I was a boy, if I would have even been more into the movie. I mean, I definitely wasn't, trust me, I was into the movie. But I just feel like if I was a little boy, oops, I dropped my phone. If I was a little boy, um, I feel like I would just be like, oh my God, I'm home alone. I have the whole house to myself. Like I can do whatever the fuck I want. You know, I feel like every boy's dream because like I remember when my parents first trusted me to be alone, like that moment, I was like, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. I'm gonna watch TV and eat snacks and all that
Yeah,
stuff. So like I can't even imagine like being a little boy watching that movie and like how it kind of like sticks with you and you're like, I wish I could kind of like be left alone.
yeah. You know, I did relate to it, not in that sense because I wasn't trustworthy until like fuck, I was older to be left alone. And because I was, you know, I'm very curious as a kid. You know, I was like, oh, what happens if you set this on fire?
Yeah.
Or you know, what happens if you smash this? It was like I was trying to like break things up and see what's inside. I always
Mm,
wanted to see.
yeah.
Um, so that, and like I guess in that sense, I didn't relate, but I did relate in the sense where the relationships of the family, right? So you know,
Yeah.
when he goes into his brother's room and he goes into like his like little war chest,
Yeah.
um, I can relate to that because I had a cousin Jerry.
Mhm.
He had these cool toys, action figures, and I was still
Yeah.
like younger, so still had to play with cars and Legos, and I was like,
Hey,
no,
Legos are good.
I want big boy toys.
Yeah. That's
Um, and this is the time when like the Green Goblin was going around uh, for him. These were GI Joes, I believe, but still, so I crave that. And so whenever he wasn't home, I would sneak into his room and play with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I do relate to that in the sense of the relationships and being frustrated with family. When you're that age, especially, so many
Yeah.
rules.
Yeah.
And every adult is different. So of course, when you see them, they have different rules every time you approach a different adult. So it's I understand that about him, and he kind of like felt alone. And when I was growing up, I was the only one my age.
Yeah.
I had one other cousin. Well, I'm not gonna say it. Well, I guess I did, Denise. Um,
Did
she
you?
was like, we were like just closer in age, but she's still a little bit younger than me. So I was like 5, and then the closest other person to me, I think he was maybe like 13 or 14.
Yeah.
So I always had that like by myself, and then I'm
Yeah.
an only child also. So it's not like
Oh,
at
okay.
home I can have
So
any
yeah, what is
siblings.
Christmas like? Like that's actually a good thing you bring up, because I'm like, since I always had a lot of siblings, like watching Christmas movies with my siblings was kind of like a tradition, and my family, like, did you have that kind of tradition like growing up, or since you're an only child, was it kind of just like, eh?
We've had traditions, mainly because when our entire family was here living in North Hollywood, yeah,
Yeah.
we'd get together, on the holidays, and the Christmas tree and the lights and all that stuff went up. Because there was spirit, there was gathering, and as families started moving away, when shit's like really started getting expensive here in Cali,
Yeah.
that kind of like went with them.
Right.
And for us, at least my immediate family, we're very much it's like we like to be relaxed. We don't like to
Fair. Mhm.
um, be like, oh, the holidays are coming, stress, 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 fixing this, fixing that. We're very much like, hey, this
That
just
sounds really lovely, because I feel like the holidays is so stressful for a lot of families and a lot of people. For me, it's like I have
yeah.
so many fucking family members. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean the present shopping is always like one thing, but I like the feeling of not feeling like we have to do this monotonous routine.
Mm,
But like I said, I love the decorations and stuff, but I myself I can't really get myself to do it.
yeah.
You know, but I do love walking into a house and feeling that warmth and seeing the decorations.
I
It's
feel like if you
great.
don't have that at home, like the Christmas movies do bring that to you, to your home.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I was like not really feeling like it was like, it didn't feel like Christmas in LA. Like it was like 80 degrees like 2 days ago. And I literally was like sweating in my jacket. I was just like, not winter. And then I was like, but I want to watch a Christmas movie. Like I want to get into like the Christmas spirit. And I was like, but I really can't. Like it's just so hot. But then I actually sat down and I watched the Santa Claus, and I watched Four Christmases. And you know what? I was like, I fuck with this. Like this, it does bring like the Christmas vibes. Even though like outside it might be like really hot, like the movie like brought it, like it just felt like it was like cold and like, holiday.
yeah, it does, and that's the one thing that I like about Christmas movies also. And then shout out to the production design because
Mm-hmm.
they have to create that cozy look. And I've dealt on my shoots with Christmas lights, and let me tell you, if you don't get the right ones, you have a fucking flicker fest in your
Oh
hands.
my God. It's
And yeah, so you got to make sure to get the right ones, or you got to start messing with the shutter speed in the camera. Just it's not as easy as it seems.
yeah.
And like I said, finding that kind of stuff, especially if you're independent, how you have to go to like Target and
Mhm.
just regular stores to buy your shit because you can't
Right.
afford real stuff.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot harder to
Makes
find.
it so much harder.
Yeah,
And I
so
almost feel like I don't know if I would want to make a Christmas movie as an independent filmmaker, because I feel like it's so much work.
yeah, I mean, like if you want to do it, you can break it down so you can shoot during Christmas the year before, and
Yeah.
then I guess little by little build your story and do that. But I don't know, like for me when I do projects, I like to like be on set, start and finish the fucking thing. I don't
Yeah,
like.
I'm definitely like that too. Like I'm not
Ugh,
someone that can like start something and then wait like a whole year to finish it. And then you know what I mean? Like I'm very like once I start something, I'm like, I need to finish it. Like I can't just half-ass it. So
yeah,
or like not even half-ass it, just like I can't like just put so much space in between. You know?
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like a shitbird when I fucking do that. I'm like, I can't finish this. Like, who am I? You know, and I'm still like, so it bothers me so much so that, you know, there's projects from school that I didn't get to, that I finished, but I didn't get to like have them the way I wanted because of the pace.
yeah.
You know how,
That's
you know,
something that I tell people that
you're
were
done
like,
this semester, next semester, forget it. You ain't getting to it.
yeah,
So it bothers me so much that I'm going back to my projects now and I'm just, you know, going to town on them
yeah.
because I
I mean, we
can't have
have
it
the time
unfinished.
for it, right? Like, we're not really doing
Yeah.
COVID,
I
so
mean, we can't be unfinished. That's people's work. You know, people showed up. You promised them a credit. You promised them a movie.
exactly.
So, you know, I feel like that's very important. And talking to a lot of people, it sucks how many people don't get their credits because people are just not following through, and that
That's
sucks.
such a bummer. If you're gonna make a movie, pull through. If you're gonna involve all these people, like just finish it. Like even if it's not like your best work, I would just say finish it and like show something. Something's better than nothing than like saying you're gonna produce something and you know, and then you're just like there's nothing there.
Yeah, you know, at least people can say like, oh, he had shit work, and not like, oh, he always starts shoots and we've never seen any work. You know, that's so much worse because that's like zero. Like at school, you know, if you get an F, that sucks, but it's not a zero.
Yeah.
You know, you get a couple zeros in a row, you'll really get fucked.
So would you so you said Why Him earlier was your favorite movie. I honestly I love that movie because I think Dave Franco's is it James Franco?
James Franco, yeah.
James Franco. He is so funny, and also Bryan Cranston, like I love Breaking Bad, so anything he does I'm like I'm in. And I do like I like those types of movies. Like actually I think it's a lot of the comedy movies. It focuses mainly on like the strictly the family dynamic, but it puts it in like a funny way where it's like I can really relate to this shit, even if it's like stress or like the family bickering or divorced parents and having to like deal with that around the holidays, but like in a funny way, or like bad moms like having like maybe bratty kids and not, or like maybe not, or like accidentally saying Santa's not real. Oops, did I say that?
Like shouldn't be kids watching this.
Yeah, I mean they shouldn't be watching this. But, I'm sorry. So like I think it's really like cool that comedies focus on that aspect. Like I noticed in Four Christmases, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's with Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn. It's kind of like one of their earlier movies. I actually like that movie a lot because like I said, it like shows the family aspect of it, but it shows what it's like to literally go to 4 different Christmases if you had like if you were married to someone or dating someone that had divorced parents. And since I have divorced parents, maybe that's why I could really relate to it as well. But it was just really interesting to see that kind of dynamic because I feel like, you know, in Christmas movies, people don't necessarily want to like talk about like, oh, your divorced parents or your split Christmas, or maybe some divorced kids even feel kind of like bad about not having this like my family is all together, you know. So I think this movie like does a great job of just kind of showing like, hey, like you get 4 Christmases, like it's okay, like if your parents are split up, like look at the bright side of things, like you have like, you know, almost like 4 new families and stuff. So I really like that aspect. I feel like Christmas, it's like so hard to be like mad and stuff because so like the films are all just so like jolly and like family and like love. Like that's the message. So it's like, how can you be grumpy about it? Like Christmas.
I feel that's why I, you know, in watching all these movies, especially like in a row, like that first day I told you, I got 5 in a row.
Really?
Yeah, 5 in a row. I was pumped. And that's why I don't really have a problem with Christmas movies. I'm like, look, every day at the end of the year, they're going to be reminding people to be the best person that they can.
Yeah.
You know, like